Hey there, Maria back with another video. So I decided to come back and make another one. It's 2:47 p.m. It is February 8th, and it is Thursday afternoon. So anyway, I'm sitting here in my room as I usually do. I would say I'm kind of what do you call it, a person who enjoys their solitude, and they're quiet and their peace of mind. So, my room is clean, so I feel like this is a room I get drawn to. So I wanted to come on here and just kind of like, discuss some of my issues, and hopefully the people in the collective group can hear this. I'm going at a very slow pace, and I understand there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes with my old entourage that I was associated with, as well as my current entourage, I guess I should say, who, are part of this like connected group. And so, I've addressed my frustrations, so I don't want to go on and on and on about it. But, it is. I mean, like, you have to try to understand from my point of view, like, what it's like for someone like me. I'm very high energetic, like, I'm highly energetic, and I constantly want to do things, um, like, right after, one after another, and I get frustrated because, I've mentioned before, I'm not capable of going back to work. I don't, it's too anxiety inducing. And just like turning on my computer is anxiety inducing. It gets to the point where it's just like, I patted myself on the back for sending like not one, but two emails, mainly because that's how traumatized I get, dealing and interacting with people. And I know there's going to be some people who don't understand that, because I know in the past where I was making a bunch of videos saying, hey, this bothers me, traumatizes me, please don't do this, whatever. People continue to do it, and that was like back in 2015, and it's now like 2024, and I've made 1,300 videos or more. So I'm always fearful that people don't get me, and or they're I'm not comfortable with it. At the rate that I'm going right now, though, I mean, I can't. Giving up for me is not an option. I'm not the kind of person who's just going to throw in the towel, mainly because it is a matter of my survival. And I know that sometimes you deal with different kinds of trafficking, and I know in the past when I was married to my husband, I believe that he had some sort of jurisdiction over my employment, which he should have never had. I think some people, they're very old school. Old school, what I mean by that is, there was a time, like I mentioned before, where women had no ability to make any sort of thing, anything in their life, anything that they had to do. If they wanted a credit card, they had to get their husband's permission. If they wanted a job, they had to get their husband's permission. I mean, it was a very institutional type of setup, meaning like it was like everybody's business. Like you want to go get like maybe a stereo system or something, and you want to go ahead and put that on like some sort of credit card. Well, then that was your husband's business, okay? And of course, things have changed, and we've had laws that protect the rights of women. And like I said, I'm not a bra burner. I'm not somebody who has ever like done any active involvement in like women's rights. But this is a matter of women's rights, and it is in no way, me saying that I'm poo-pooing, marriages and how they're arranged. And people have their way of like arranging their life. However, that couple chooses to arrange their life, because that's up to them. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be up to other people how to either connect a person or keep them together or punish somebody because somebody chose to leave. I know a lot of men do that to their wives. They put them in situations where they're no longer eligible for employment, or they'll like blacklist them, kind of like how this issue happened with me. But I don't think it was one specific person who did that. It was more like but what I mean. It's just that's one of the things, the tactics that they use, and this puts women in a very vulnerable position. So, at this moment, like like I mentioned earlier, I got onto the computer this morning. I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys, and then also I kept thinking, okay, Maria, you have to start, like, dealing with your stuff. You can't just, like, let stuff be hanging. But I do believe that some of the issues, relating to my new Patreon channel is not, I don't believe all of it is technical issues. I think that, when you're dealing with gang stalking, you're dealing with people who know a friend of a friend, people who leave this sort of stuff. And, like I said, I started my channel back in October because I wanted to make sure that I could start seeing progress. And, unfortunately, I wasn't listened to after all the videos I've been making, and it does get very frustrating. Okay, it's like ignoring the will of another human being. You know, is very disrespectful. I would think after the long period of time showing over and over again that, yeah, I'm dead serious. I have to do this. You know what I mean? Let's just say, for example, I don't know why, but I keep getting this, like, message in the back of my mind that there's some sort of, I don't know, like, some people expect me to be like some sort of heiress of some sort of inheritance or something. I don't know anything about that. I one time thought that there was some messages I got about a previous employer or something like that. Regardless of what people think kind of money I'm supposed to be getting or whatever, I'm somebody who feels like, I can't rely on that. I can't rely on, I'm not sitting here trying to wait for, money to roll in from some unexpected income 6 months from now. I'm not expecting somebody to, jump in some sort of marriage just because, I want to improve my financial situation. People tend to project their ideas and their lifestyle choices or traditions or whatever. In this case, I think it originally started off with this particular Christian sect, or I should say cult. And the reason why I say it was a cult is because, of the various denominations that were involved in this, okay, which was really a racial issue. But still, some of the choices that were presented to me as far as, like, it did in fact, of course, the judgment of my soul tribe. And so they start thinking that these sort of things are okay, and they're not. I suffer a lot from the decisions of certain people, whether it was, like, benign or it was or it was malicious. I don't know, because there's, like, big mixed bag in the group that I'm associated with. I know that right now there's, these, feelings that I get because, I'm always I'm uncomfortable with the group dynamic. Mainly some of the people that I was unfortunate to meet. Had the unfortunate chance of meeting and interacting with for a certain period of time, seeing the reflection of this group towards, their anger and their bitterness. I don't believe that at the time they had any real clear reason to mistreat me that way, and they still don't, right? But this indicates that some people still have this, maybe carry on some sort of pettiness or competitive nature. Like I said before, I do take this very seriously. This is a very serious issue, and I don't appreciate, like, creating issues if that's your thing. Maybe some of you guys have, like, sat back and you've moved on, and for the people who've moved on, thank you, because that's all I really want, and that's all that's really fair. It's all very fair, but I did post a video, like, earlier this morning, stating, deadlines, meaning, like, if you have your hand in some of my stuff, my dealings, I need to, and you have the ability to fix it, please have it fixed by, this particular date. And this is not me being bitchy. I don't think that I'm being unreasonable. If you have the control and the power to do so, please do so. Okay. Like I said, people need to right their wrongs, and especially when they were unjustified. And I think, the way I'm speaking about this, I think that I'm handling it very well. It's not like I'm, throwing out, curses. I don't mean curses, like, curse words, saying you're a bunch of whatever. I'm just, seriously, it's only right that this really, in all actuality, I think people should have understood that this should have never happened in the first place. Like, never happened in the first place. But, it is what it is. So, I think it's important for me to, have things like social media cleared up and stuff like that. I do know that I've had some recent subscribers, and I do want to thank you for that. But when it comes to like things like, my social media, Facebook, Instagram, all these other things, I don't believe I haven't experienced anything weird and wonky, but I do think that the majority of the people on my Facebook friends are kind of on the perpy side, because I remember when I had my original Facebook account, I mean, I didn't have that many people, but then during this like time of stalking, I mean, all these people were reaching out wanting to be, and I do think there are some people that are legit, legit people who support me, but I do think the majority of them are indeed perps. But, I'm asking for, like I said, I got, I didn't appreciate it when I made a request to, I wasn't really making the request, but I was basically stating through an intuitive message that I got that people wanted the Prince Alamehu issue out in the open, and there was really no attempts that I could see to make that happen. The thing is like people deal with my life, you know what I mean, and they really shouldn't. And I have to ask that question because if, like I said before, if employment sectors, okay, including like platforms that people use as an alternative form of standard type of employment, if they're all filtered, if they're all like, then that sends a message that there truly is no economic hope for a lot of people because people control everything and there is no equal opportunities in those situations. See, like for example, let's just say I owned a platform called Maxima. Okay, I can't think of any other name, but that just pops in my mind. So I own Maxima, and people want to post their content on Maxima because they want to, get paid for whatever lessons they're showing or whatever. And so, unlike the employment sector, which is suspected of being manipulated, right? You have perps that send you from one company to another. And the problem with it is like people are under the impression that Maxima is just as simple as that. Like you pay your fee or whatever you got to do. You post your content on like the alternate channel, which I would think is like, like it's something like YouTube or something like that, and then you can interlink the two videos to your Maxima account. These are all like technical words, or like made up words, hypothetical. And that's it, what I mean? And I mean, that's the impression that they give you, right? Nobody wants to have anyone, manipulate their life, you know what I mean? In that manner, you know what I mean? And there should be alternatives for people to say, hey, you know what? Well, I at this point, I don't see any other alternatives for me. Why? Because, I won't go back to the workplace. And like I said before, I don't want to see, job postings sent to my email. I don't want to hear anything about the W word, which means work. And it's not because I'm a lazy person. Everybody who knows me knows that I have always been like somebody who goes above and beyond, somebody who was happy to have a job, somebody who was productive, someone who cared and gave a shit, right? But after a long period of time, like most targeted individuals, it becomes a part of a mental illness, okay? And this is one of the reasons why I have a hard time like checking my emails. This is one of the reasons why I have a hard time, worrying about, is somebody conspiring and this sort of stuff, because it's happened to me so many times before. As a woman, I'm extremely vulnerable to people with, ideas of, maybe it could be, in this case, when they were using religion. Some of these people come from, like, for example, my stupid sister Tanya, okay? She comes from a denomination, and this means I'm not saying all Christians are like this, okay? But you get the group dynamic, okay? And you add her background into it, and you're going to have something explosive, okay? Tanya was so abused in her relationship that she accepts this as normal. Okay, when obviously the reason why she acts out, lashes at people, harms other people, and this is the typical behavior of like those catty women, is because they're not happy. They don't like their situation, and they want to drag you down into the same living kind of hell that they live in. That's why they do it. Okay, but I didn't commit to whatever idea that she follows or whatever. And then of course you have the people who are ignorant of the situation. Like maybe they remember a time when their mom had to ask their dad for every goddamn thing that they wanted. Okay, and it's not in any way. I think when I was younger, I really didn't think much about women's rights. Okay, I thought. Like I said, I thought it was just women trying to prove that they could do anything boys can do, on the playground where they're like, well, girls are better and all this other stuff. I mean, I literally didn't think that women had any sort of reason to complain, right? Because from my point of view, as a child or somebody who was like just entering their teenage years, all I knew was it was proper for people to open the doors for women. It was, they had there was supposed to be a certain kind of regard for women, all right, a certain kind of respect. And a lot of this, I do understand that I have some very old school, like old school ideas and thoughts in the back of my mind. But still, I didn't see the oppression part. I didn't see where people were that this was something that really did occur and how it did affect women. And they're not just like, it's not this like sticking our tongues out in the playground trying to provoke males to, chase girls or whatever. Because that's basically how that was back in those school years. But as an adult, there's a lot of men who I'm so sorry about the interruption. I didn't realize my son just walked to the door and it kind of interrupted me. Okay, so I'm sorry. Anyway, back to what I was saying. It's like, a lot of adults, men and women, they get caught up in like the game of gang stalking in a way. I'm going to say lower level because obviously they're not the originators of the gang stalking, but still they get to be into these active participations and they don't realize that people need to move on, and it's because of the dehumanization. So my thing is that my concern is that how is it that it concerns me that infiltration is so normalized, meaning like infiltration is outside forces or a third party that can easily attach itself to another person. Like for example, in the workplace where I was being trafficked from one place to another, whether that be like my main perk being, the the agents that were, chasing me for God knows how long, or was it like, my blood relations, or was it my adoptive relations, or whoever it was, who was arranging the employment, that they could interfere like that, and like they blatantly ignore laws and they normalize those laws. And like I said, it makes you wonder. And since they normalize it, like it's almost to them like, well, of course, we got you this job. We got you this job. Like, why isn't it that people can just like, why do they think that? And why do they instantly think that? Is it because that's normal to them? Because really, it's not. It's not. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Because if it is, like I said, not just the college issue of people wasting their money going to college. It's the fact that some people are just fucked, like they can't work only because they don't have somebody getting them a job. It doesn't matter how how educated they are or how many years of experience they have or how many whatever. It's like it just they wouldn't have any experience because they would have never entered the workforce anyway because that's how the system works. But when you think of independent places, like, I know some people monetize their YouTube channels or whatever. And it's like, it's under, what people most think is that you're just uploading your videos. You don't expect, oh, you're a group from your workplace and your sister and, are talking to the people who manage this particular platform and blah, 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 and they're infiltrating that and they're preventing you from doing that too. That's a very dangerous situation to be in, okay? Like I'm saying, why I gave this data is like whatever sort of infiltration you have, please clear it up. I mean, it means giving a deadline is not in any way trying to stir up trouble. It's reasonable. I mean, it really is reasonable. to have some sort of like deadline as to when, you know, issues can get cleaned up. Because honestly, I understand, like, for example, me responding to these particular emails with this particular representative, I still don't believe it. I don't believe, like, you know, all of this is taking so long because, you know, this isn't this. As a matter of fact, today, this has been going on for quite a while. Like, if you attach, you have like two accounts. You have one for Patreon. You have like where you actually upload a video. This is called Vimeo, right? So I copied and pasted the URL, you know, and to send him a copy of what I'm getting. And of course, if you click on the video that you created and you copy the UATL address or whatever, and you paste it, and you know that's your video. This has happened so many times, right? It's not a mistake, okay? And you paste it, and what comes out in the paste is a completely different video with somebody else in it. Okay, that's bizarre. And see, and it could be a mistake. Okay, can't find. Maybe it is. But you know, when it comes to this particular group of people who waste my time, and that doesn't mean that every little issue is related to them. Like, you know, because they've caused me so many problems, it seems it's very understandable, okay, why I would blame everything on this particular group of people, right? I could sit here and meditate on it to find out confirmation. Is this these little slowdowns? Does this relate to these people? And I wonder, you know what I mean? I cannot help but wonder because, you know, it seems like everything that goes on in my life is somehow related to this little bullshit scam. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why I don't like dealing with my interactions with this representative, even though he's very kind, he's been very accommodating, answering questions and stuff. It's the fact that, um, it's the fact that, that, I believe that this group is associated and attaching themselves, right? And that's what I don't like. Okay, I'm not, like I said, you know, I've made it very clear the reason why I wanted to get off unemployment, the reason why I wanted to do this. And you know, I know people get upset with me. Like I said, if you get upset, then that just goes to show you do have some abusive behavior somewhere in there. Because I don't think it's unreasonable for me to feel the way that I do. What else do I want to talk about? Ignorance. Some of the people that are probably hating me, still hating on me. Yeah, I do know that there's some people who resent that other people speak highly and think highly of me. That you cannot avoid. You cannot avoid that. And I know that there's people who are sitting here like, you know, some women, you know, catty women, they're like, oh, she's not that great. You know, hey, look, I never said that I was Beyonce. I never said anything like that, okay? I do think that I'm okay. I don't think that, you know, I've never said that. So, and also I know that there are people who have this feeling that, that, you know, they don't understand my spirituality. They don't understand, you know, how it is that I can not be like them, like, you know, very impulsive, somebody who doesn't like to compete, because in their mind, they're so um, fixated on competing. They're very competitive in their nature. And so they assume everyone feels that way. Just like there's certain things that I feel strongly about that at one time in my life, I just assumed that everybody else felt that way. You know, like I said, like I used to think that everybody would greet you as Mr. or Mrs. You know what I mean? Like that was going to be common. Like I was raised to do that. It was common manners. It was the right thing to do. Um, I just thought everybody else was polite because that's the way I am, you know. So I just thought that. So of course, you know, going throughout my life, obviously, I've got some rude awakenings because the majority of people do not share my values. Okay, but the fact is that when it comes to, you don't have to share my values. You don't have to, you know, see things on my spiritual level. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like my clothes. You don't have to like the things that I do. You don't have to like anything that I do. Okay, but you should, and you really need to respect my rights, and you need to respect my space, and you need to respect the things that you shouldn't have you should have no jurisdiction over whatsoever. You know what I mean? So I'm disappointed when it comes to the system that we live in. I'm very disappointed in how it operates. Because like I said, if what I'm saying is true, and I'm not just some little, you know, unique person who's just kind of like a singular no, he's not saying because there's a lot of trafficked and targeted individuals. But what I'm saying is, if that is the way the system works throughout the system, okay, then we have a huge problem. We have a very huge problem. So anyway, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I do think that making videos, it does keep me company, because there's times where I have this mixed emotion, and the mixed emotion is I want to talk, I want to be social, okay? But there's times where I'm also feeling like I have to be leery about who I'm social with, or can I really let go and talk and share my feelings? Can I say this? Can I say that? So it's like I have to stand back and kind of analyze things sometimes, because it's like, you'll have people reach out to you on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you get a little reluctant about, like, you know what I mean? Because I've been, stalked for such a long time, and I do understand that a lot of times your perps want to extract information from you, mainly because they have a very sick sense of competition, and they want to, kind of see if they can thwart your plans or whatever, and that kind of stuff. And it's like, I'm not interested in competition. At 53 years old, I don't have time to play games. I really, really don't. I don't have time to play silly little games to try to do the one-up thing. Okay, and certainly my life is not. I was not meant to try to one-up people. My life is based on these situations that I've been in, and things that were definitely beyond my control, and this is a result of me trying to handle and manage them. Also, I do understand, when it comes to people who have opinions about my content, it's not that I don't accept, what do you call it, constructive criticism. It's just that, when I'm creating, like, for example, the Swan Song Manifesto, Swan Song Manifesto is about Maria and her lessons, and to teach other people about utilizing the wonderful things that we do have on the earth, okay? Mine is the rotten people. Mine is the rotten people. And it's told from, my experiences, and then giving people different methods and stuff like that, which I'm well versed in, okay? And that's what it's about. And it's about also, but it is 100% uniquely me, okay? And, I understand that, people that I don't necessarily want in my social circle have a desire to try to, like, want to change my content or whatever. I do think that perhaps maybe the people on the top of the pyramid are upset because I have my own spiritual views and I have the right to have them. Like I said, there's people who post on Patreon things that are relating to the occult. Okay, like I said, there's tarot readers, there's people who have other forms of divination. They're on Patreon, they get paid for it. Anytime, that's all the occult. It's all based on secret knowledge, secret things that people have pretty much forgotten, but somehow it's been even interwoven into religion, okay? That people don't even understand where it comes from, but that's pretty much where it comes from. And so this is basically what it is. And obviously I know that this group had different views on those topics, and it's my life. It's basically what I'm saying. It's my life, For the people who are supportive and you can support, I do appreciate your support and whatever you can do. This is, like I said, I really just wanted to get on with my life, and make my content, the rest of my content. And it's very hard to make content when you feel like your life is being thrown up in the air. Also, I did pay a membership to Vimeo, right? I paid my membership, and it seems like I'm not really getting my money's worth, because I started this in October, and like, we're already November, December, January. Okay, that's 4 months. Okay, that I basically am wasting money when you really think about it. And it's like I'm always getting the short end of the stick somehow in this situation. Also, I do have bills to pay, and I think it's kind of unfair that, they put my son, I'm glad that he's moved in here and everything, but at the same time, it's like, why is it that other people have to pick up the slack for what these people do? I'm just asking, okay, why is it people have to pick up the slack for what other people do? It's not fair. It's not fair that I can't pay I'm not paying my fucking credit cards right now. I'm basically like, okay, what is the essential needs? The essential needs are things that, like toilet paper and shit like that, those are the things I have to have. I'm just really making sure that all of those things get taken care of. And I'm sorry, like I said, with some people, they go into this, like, mode of like, well, if I lost my job, I would be doing this, 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 and this, and I would handle it this, this, and this. And, you know, I would still do everything. I would slave, go back to the workforce, try my best to, really, I used to do that. I'm tapped out. You know what I mean? I got my credit straightened out, and I had problems, and I finally started getting the credit straightened out. Here they come with their bullshit again. Now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, well, I'll pay my credit cards when I can. And see, nobody likes being in that situation, but they have no problem putting you in that situation. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, there's nothing wrong with me expressing my feelings and my views about this. I mean, it should be completely understood, especially, you know, after all of this, you know, the least they can do is stop, you know, making other people suffer. And the problem with it is like we have people in this group, because they align themselves with people that, you know, have a name, right? You know, they're mixed in with some pretty people, important people, and there are some important people that I do appreciate in this group. But for the people who live the daily lives, like people who may have I may have worked in their business, they get this like God complex. They get a God complex because anytime you give a person just a little bit of power, they get a little bit too excited with it, and they start, you know, getting very corrupt and doing all this other stuff. Right? You know, I don't have any beef with anybody at this point. I mean, like I said, you know, I still have made my decision, and I'm sticking with my decision, you know, that I want to move on. I don't want to deal with people from my past. I already said, you know, what I needed to say about my ex-family, you know, but when it comes to, you know, this group and any wrong that was done to me deserves to be righted. And that's the way it is. Now, do I suspect that the people at the top of the pyramid are probably, you know, trying to mess with my stuff? I wouldn't doubt it. You know, I really wouldn't doubt it. I don't deserve it. I will point to my sister Tanya, who, you know, who originated this within the family. Tanya was extremely demonic. She was extremely demonic and had this. I don't know why she had such a sense of entitlement. I will never understand why she felt as though she needed to be a part of my life. I sometimes think that perhaps maybe it's because of the cycle of being, when I was living in Lancaster when I was growing up, the cycle of dealing with the intimidation from the people, the agents that were following me, you know, because, you know, like I said, it created a lot of nervousness. It created a lot of stuttering. It created a lot of, let me ditch this day of school because I can't deal with it anymore. And so her perception of me was, oh, well, you know, Maria, she's just not smart. And especially because I know this had a lot to do with, and with looking back, it's like, she can't deny this shit was happening. She knew that I was ditching school, but she never thought about why. She knew that I was, you know, I may have behaved goofy. Okay, I do have a weird sense of humor. I will take full responsibility for that. If that's the right word, you know, I shouldn't say responsibility. I should say credit. I'm proud of my goofy sense of humor, but um, but all she knows is that, you know, Maria had problems. She was struggling, and kids bullied me. But she was a part of that problem. I think this is, like I said, the vicious like pointing and the vicious like cycle of arguments and trying to like point me out to be somebody when I'm just always running from their abuse. And then like when I've had enough of it, or I break down because I'm just tired, I can't go anymore. It's your fault. This is extreme narcissistic abuse. Okay, my sister has no jurisdiction over anything. Tanya Culligan, Jim Culligan, that's her husband. That goes for my brother Rashawn Gordon, his wife Melissa, and then my sister Lisa Hughes and her husband Jeff. They have no right to think that they have any sort of say in what goes on in my life. You know what I mean? As an adult, but you know, I'm. Tanya would probably even think for a minute that I would support her financially if she because Tanya was that big of a mooch. I mean, Tanya was the kind of person who always felt like people were going to help her, and that people were always going to be charitable. Like she literally thought that people were charitable, and this is what she always like mooches and asks for favors. She likes the fact that she could be associated with people in big names because she's always needing something, always, you know. And Tanya and I are like the exact opposite. Like Tanya is very needy. Let me lean on somebody, and I'm the kind of person there's no goddamn person to lean on. There is none. You know what I mean? I've always been like somebody who's extremely independent, and like I said, it's not anything out of rebellion. It's necessity. You know what I mean? And the thing is that Tanya comes from a huge problem with brainwashing. She's been very brainwashed her entire life, and so it was easy for people like her husband. They see bitches like her coming a mile away, and you know whatever. I'm not going to talk shit about that, but still, it's like, Tanya sees someone like me and she thinks, oh, you're rebelling, you're single, you're blah, 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 blah. No, I'm running. I just so happen to be running from you, Tanya, and your little weird, like converted, I don't even want to call it cult or whatever. No, and it seems like I've always been running from these people. And they blame me for that. It's so sick. I can't even tell you. But yeah. So I need to do something. It's just been really hard. I do think that my sister had a desire to suppress me on the internet, as well as my ex-brother, possibly both families. That would be my real, as well as my blood relations, as well as my adopted family, wanted to silence me because they didn't agree with my religious views. And this possibly came from the top of the pyramid. Here in this country, United States, like I said, we do have freedom of religion. Okay, religion is our choice. There are certain things that in the law that prevent us from as American citizens from like inflicting our religious views on other people. That kind of falls under the guidelines of terrorism, because when you think about it on a spiritual level, how some people say we're in a spiritual warfare for our souls. It is, because how you view God and the kind of dogma or the religious belief that you hold in your head is basically what shapes and molds you. Okay, and it's not something that can be enforced. Okay, there are some people who do live who are unfortunate, who are forced into, belonging to a specific religion, but but it's not sincere. It's coerced. Okay, and anytime something's coerced, God is about free will. Okay, your devotion to God can't be forced. It has to be something that it's free will. You know what I mean? I don't believe that Job, like for example, I use him as an example, like when they've talked about him in the Bible, Job lost like everything. Okay, he lost everything. And a lot of people are always like the gimme, 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 get type mentality when it comes to God. They don't really they use God or the God because, or they stay close to God only so they can get certain things. And so that was one of the reasons why Job was tested, to see if he truly did have that deep connection with the with God, right? So Job proved that he did, because even though he was like stricken with all kinds of like illnesses, he was, lost everything, he was still there respecting God, right? So that's really what it's about, and some people miss the mark, and they see Christianity as, or any religion really, as some form of like, let me bully you, let me do this and other stuff. It's funny because like I know some of the people who got involved in this. I do recall this one conversation between two individuals. I was not a part of the conversation, but people talk at work and you hear it, and they were talking about he was talking about how in the Inquisition, how there was, Christians were wrong, to inflict pain on some people, right? And and the funny part is, like, this is where the double-sided mind is. He was sitting here making that statement, but he was one of the perps, trying to, like, throw his shit down on me. You see what I'm saying? It's like they see it as two separate issues. No, it's not. Some people use, like I said, some people use religion so they can enact terrorism. Like, for example, my sister had her vendettas against me. She was jealous of me. It was a personal vendetta. Okay, so she wants to make it seem righteous. It's not righteous. Okay, but this is what she'll do. And I do think my sister Tanya is the kind of person who would try to exploit me and then turn around and expect me to help her. See, this is, my sister Tanya has severe mental problems, okay? So I know that she started a lot of this, and, you know, get the fuck out of my life, and I mean that. Like, you know, after so many years, people think, oh, you know, people who think are dumb enough to think that, you know, that just because they are my blood relations or somebody that who is my adopted family, because they think the family somehow obligates me to put up with their bullshit. It doesn't. The law says it doesn't, okay? And when you really get down to it, nothing in my emotional stream makes me feel like I have, like there's no heart tug. There's no heart tug where I'm like, oh, but that's my sister, or that's my, you know, I don't care. You know what I mean? I really don't care. Like I said, you can take things so far to where you can't make it better. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I want to move on and forget it. You know what I mean? But I think that there should be a timeline because these people don't understand that it is their problem. It's their problem. Okay, I didn't start all this. I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't, you know, I wouldn't be putting myself in this situation. I did everything I could do. And nobody can say that I didn't. Nobody can say that I didn't, okay? Because the situation that I was in was impossible. It was impossible. It was impossible. You know what I mean? And for somebody to deal with an impossible situation, I think I handled it pretty well. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty much it. I don't really think there's anything else I want to say. I guess I just want to kind of ramble on because it's like, man, after I get done with this video, what else am I going to do? That kind of thing. And it kind of sucks doing that. But, you know, it is what it is. And the reason why, and like I said, everything I can experience in my life right now is related to that. The reason why I have to make videos and talk for like excessively and continually ramble on is because I'd rather be doing different things, and I'm not doing different things. And the reason why I'm not doing different things is because of this issue. So anyway, I would really appreciate you guys making an effort to get it cleared up as soon as possible. Do what you have to do. I don't think I'm being unreasonable for saying this. I really don't. Okay, there's a lot of things that you guys did that need to be reversed in a really quick manner because I can't do it, and it should be respected. Okay, like I'm not getting any compensation for any of this shit that I went through. None of it. Okay, like everybody knows that this community owes me money. When you really think about it, they owe me money, and time. Like you can lose money, but I lost time. When I left Murray Family Farms, I was like 11 years younger. Okay, I could have moved on to another location, you know, like if this trafficking thing wasn't, which the trafficking was wrong in the first place. So, let me just think really quick in my mind. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Yep, I think that's it. So unfortunately, I'll be twiddling my thumbs for like at least another hour or two. And I'll be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.